Yo, Strong Opinion Sports has a store. Shirts, hoodies, everything. It's all on sale until the end of November. Go buy stuff. I walked away from Thanksgiving Day reminded once again just of how steadily mediocre the Detroit Lions are. It's kind of impressive, actually, how consistently mediocre they are. And why is that? Why is it that they are so mediocre in Detroit? And the reason why they've actually been so, mediocre is a high level, in my opinion, for Detroit, because Matthew Stafford has been saving them from being awful for years and years and years. Matthew Stafford's the reason why they're mediocre and not terrible. You got to give credit to Matthew Stafford. They were 0-16 before they drafted Matthew Stafford, and they've been mediocre ever since. Yeah, and I'm using that word a lot. Take a drink every time I say it. I don't really care. But imagine if Detroit had not had Matthew Stafford. Take a minute, just think about the last couple of years, especially if you're a Detroit fan who follows them very closely. Imagine if they hadn't had Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's career makes me very, very sad, because it's just a bunch of, it's a shame. It's been wasted. It's a bunch of talent. Matthew Stafford's talent has been wasted in Detroit. And this is why I tell people, I say this all the time on Instagram DMs, on my Instagram story, on the show, in face-to-face conversations, all the time I tell people, you want to work for a good company. Work for a company that's well-run. Because, man, honestly, and look, this is another thing you can learn from the NFL. In the NFL, you do not want to be a number one overall pick. You're set up for failure. You have to overcome the fact that you were a number one overall pick. People go, woo, number one overall pick. No, that road's very hard. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I would rather, personally, go play for a good team. Have help. Have good teammates. Have a good coach. Wouldn't you want that? And Matthew Stafford, for most of his career, has not had any of those things. And being a number one overall pick, you so rarely have a good career. I already feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. He's going to probably go to the Jets. And, God, it's a tough journey ahead for Trevor Lawrence after being drafted number one overall. Now, here's another thing. Matthew Stafford's only been to the playoffs 3 times in his entire career. And actually, I walk away from that going, he's been to the playoffs 3 times? That's kind of impressive. He really got them to the playoffs, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now, they lost every single time, but it's still rather impressive in my opinion. Now, it is sad, too, that when he finally got a decent coach, in my opinion, Jim Caldwell, the Lions were in a hurry to fire him. I don't know why. I've never understood Jim Caldwell being fired from Detroit, but it was like they shot themselves. They got a good coach, and they fired him. They let him walk away. I'm like, what are you doing, Detroit? I've never understood Detroit. Right as they were making progress, Jim Caldwell got canned because they didn't make the playoffs that year. What kind of stupid? Do you not realize who you are? You have no self-awareness to understand you're the Lions, and you should be grateful for any kind of good coach that comes your way. And it makes me think, all this stuff makes me think of Joe Burrow, where Matthew Stafford has kind of laid out the blueprint to how Joe Burrow's career is going to go, where he's likely going to have a massive underachievement in his career, where it's going to be a result of the bad organization around him. Massive underachievement because of all the problems around him. It sounds like Matthew Stafford, and it also sounds like the future for Joe Burrow. I don't like that, but that's the reality. It makes me very, very sad that anybody who has to work for bad ownership and for a poorly run organization, feel bad for them. Now, if you can control it, which some people have control, avoid it at all costs. Fight tooth and nail. Fight very, very hard to not work for a crappy organization, because crappy organizations give you crappy results.